Today I'll give you my thoughts on the top 10 most influential people in cryptocurrency. Before someone comments, small minds discuss people, great minds discuss ideas. Listen, I get that, but lists are fun and it gives us a chance to talk about some different things. This list was put together by CryptoWeekly, who produced a good top 100. Check it out in the description. I thought about doing the whole list, but we're just going to jump right to the top 10. Adam Back is an OG cypherpunk, involved with privacy tech for a long time. Computer science PhD, arguably one of the best cryptographers in the world. He's contributed a lot to Bitcoin, starting with the citation for Hashcash in the Bitcoin white paper. Currently, he is the CEO of Blockstream, and that company is working on some cool projects. They have Liquid for exchanges to move crypto around quickly. They're using a satellite that orbits Earth to broadcast the Bitcoin blockchain, and they're contributing to the Lightning Network, which allows for micropayments. And it's generating a lot of excitement with people. This is what the community needs right now. A scaling solution so we can all go out and buy Dunkin' Donuts at the same time without slowing down the network. If you Google Adam Back's name, a lot of message board posts come up with bad remarks and conspiracy theories. So he is controversial. I think some of that is misunderstanding how these technologies work, but some of that criticism is warranted in that a prominent developer like Adam or a group like Blockstream can hold a lot of power, and it's important they don't abuse that power. What makes me hopeful is that if there was ever a group of people that could resist the trappings of power, it's the old school cypherpunks. If you want to know where Bitcoin is heading the next few years, good or bad, pay attention to the work of Adam Back. Introducing Mike Novogratz, former hedge fund manager, made his bones at Goldman Sachs, helicopter pilot in the National Guard, Princeton educated, captain of the wrestling team, absolute Chad, billionaire, and he's also a big nerd for crypto, see, just like you and me. Mike's a great example of a mainstream businessman who understands how both crypto and fiat money works, and understands the potential disruption Bitcoin can have. He does a lot of TV spots and makes headlines, which will either age poorly or make him look way ahead of his time.
Bitcoin could be at 40,000 at the end of the 2018. It really easily could. And at this pace, it could hit 40,000 in 3 months, 2 months.
I'd love to know what kind of conversations go on between Mike and his banker buddies. Late in 2008, he reportedly became a member of Kappa Beta Phi, a secret society for Wall Street guys in New York. Novogratz may be the only guy in the room defending crypto. We'll just have to wait and see what the old institutions decide to do with Bitcoin. Jihan Wu is one of the co-founders of Bitmain, an absolute monster of a company. Bitmain's been the largest designer of ASICs, which are the standard for Bitcoin mining. Any serious miner needs this hardware, and Bitmain made piles of money in a short amount of time by selling this equipment. They also control some of the biggest mining pools. Smart guy. And don't let his stature fool you. He's an animal. For a number of reasons, but ultimately because of his position as a miner, Jihan strongly favored Bitcoin Cash during the scaling debate. Jihan showed this favor different ways, helping with Bitcoin Cash projects, incentives for developers, investing in some marketing, and even burning BCH to lower the supply and maybe increase the price. Here we are in 2019, and the market has clearly not shown love to BCH. It's rocketed downward in price, but also rocketed down in the price ratio to Bitcoin. Despite what social media accounts may say, the market doesn't lie. This past December, strange things started to happen. All of these rumors came out of China that Jihan was being encouraged to step down at Bitmain. Jihan actually went off the grid for a few months. Some people even speculated he was dead. We've seen Chinese Bitcoin miners disappear before, but Jihan is still with us. Whatever the new project, I'm very interested to see what he does next. Barry is the founder and CEO of the Digital Currency Group, which is quickly becoming one of those mega companies that ends up owning a piece of everything. Barry's another OG in the space, putting money up to help Coinbase, BitPay, and Ripple get off the ground. In 2016, he bought the news outlet CoinDesk. He runs one of the big conferences, Consensus. So he's in a spot where if the Bitcoin tide rises, it's going to raise all these different ships he has. Like Novogratz, he is going to be one of the funnels to legitimize Bitcoin to institutional investors. The amount of money a retail investor can contribute is nothing compared to what some of these mega hedge funds, endowments, and retirement plans have in them. So when they decide to invest just a few percentage points of those funds into Bitcoin, the price will explode.
This is not financial advice. Please do your own research. I am expressing my opinion for entertainment purposes only.
Barry is supposed to be starting some experimenting with Amazon Web Services, so next year, maybe we'll see Jeff Bezos on this list. We're gonna see a trend here where all of these guys have more money than God. This is an interesting one. Roger runs Bitcoin.com and the Reddit RBTC, both of which I consider to be propaganda. That's the thing with Bitcoin. No one is in charge. What I mean when I say propaganda is that Roger's places on the internet will have truth, truth, lie, truth, truth, omission. Trashing Bitcoin, or as he calls it, Bitcoin Core, and pumping Bitcoin Cash, which he calls Bitcoin. Confusing, especially if you're new. So free speech and sharing of ideas are important, but I think the reason Roger gets hate is because he comes off as a sleazy marketer.
All these hats you see people wearing, they were bought with Bitcoin Cash. The sunglasses were bought with Bitcoin Cash. These pants I'm wearing were bought on Purse.io with Bitcoin Cash. The socks and the shoes, Bitcoin Cash on Purse.io, and even my underwear with Bitcoin Cash.
But here
the only thing I'm wearing that wasn't bought with Bitcoin Cash is my Bitcoin Cash t-shirt because Jihan Wu gave it to me.
I would just have a lot more respect for him if he acknowledged that there are pros and cons to every coin instead of this is all good and this is all bad. That all being said, Roger is also an OG, famously one of the first people to invest in Bitcoin, and he did very well for himself. So look, maybe I'm a little jealous. I'm not rich, don't have a perfectly symmetrical face, don't have karate skills. He's done a lot in spreading crypto adoption, and he's done a lot in stirring up drama. I will say this, there are few people as successful as Roger who continue to eat, sleep, breathe a mission. I look forward to seeing him promoting Dash as the new Bitcoin. Brad's the CEO of Ripple. Ripple's a major crypto company, and that's why he's on the list. He's held the leadership positions at a lot of companies, invested in a lot of projects. His LinkedIn resume is pretty stacked. Harvard man. The XRP token, which we have Ripple to thank for, has an army of Twitter accounts that will defend this token. The XRP army. A lot of shilling. That's what altcoins do. I honestly have not dug deep on arguments for Ripple. There's just too much development going on with other projects that take up my time. Regardless of the merits for XRP, many people point to Ripple the company as an example of a mature and well-run crypto business. I mean, look at their chief technologist, David Schwartz. This guy looks like he knows what's up. Ripple wants their customers to be the banks, the big markets, and they want to provide easy ways to move money around. I hit on this topic before, but that is the future, getting major markets to touch crypto. I like this quote from Alex Mashinsky. The first people interested in crypto were anarchists that took the baton from Satoshi Nakamoto and tried to use Bitcoin to blow up the world. However, this group barely managed to pull together 1 million people to join them. They had to pass the baton to libertarians who wanted to use Bitcoin to bring in people who could save the world using crypto. But they hardly got another 3 million people to join them. Even with 4 million in total, they still couldn't foster adoption. And while they did manage to get Bitcoin up from $0 to $2,000, the third group to grab the baton were speculators. They said crypto was about making money with Bitcoin. Their plan was to pass the baton to the institutions at $20,000 a Bitcoin. The problem was that most institutions weren't ready to finish the race due to technology, regulatory, and custody issues. I think that is a succinct way to put it on where we came from and where we are today. So, Garlinghouse has not got the institutions to buy in yet. But what if? I'm not sure why Tyler makes the top 5, and his brother Cameron is sitting there back at 12, especially considering they work on crypto together. But it is their list we're going off of, and we will respect that. Cameron, I'm sorry. You may recognize them from such films as The Social Network, but they have a cryptocurrency company called Gemini. Get it? Twins? Gemini is a cryptocurrency exchange based in New York. The twins went to great lengths to be regulated, so get your ID out if you're looking to open up an account there. I don't think it's a negative to have an exchange be by the book, and they've leaned into this with their marketing. Choice is good in the market, and you can feel better using an exchange that you know is legitimate and won't go offline and disappear to New Zealand or India. The twins are credited as crypto billionaires after disclosing they put 11 million into BTC in 2013. Scary to think all of that money is probably sitting on some Ledger Nanos.
So how many Bitcoins do you both own?
We're not commenting on that right now.
Why?
Gemini is also offering the Gemini dollar, a stable coin pegged to the US dollar. There are a few stable coins out there. Most people have heard of Tether, but I think one will dominate and stick as the preferred option in the US. And you have to assume the Winklevoss twins have positioned themselves in a good spot with regulators. I'm sure one of their buddies from their old secret society at Harvard can help them out with that. Also, quickly, do you know which one is Tyler? Vitalik Buterin, the alien, the first writer for Bitcoin magazine, the godfather of Ethereum, the founder of the #2 cryptocurrency that spawned thousands of ERC tokens. At the age of 17, Vitalik had a vision for decentralized computing, and after learning this was not going to happen on top of Bitcoin, created Ethereum. Aside from Bitcoin, it is the most valuable cryptocurrency. Aside from Bitcoin, it has the most development, and aside from Bitcoin, it is the most important cryptocurrency. The ability to create tokens on Ethereum allowed anybody to raise money in an ICO, leading to the absolute madness in 2017. Tokenizing companies, contracts, buildings, World of Warcraft gold might soon be a reality, and Ethereum has an excellent chance to do that. Decentralized games is really intriguing. People spend a lot of money on digital swords, but ultimately that sword is stuck on the game. In a decentralized platform, you own that sword, and it is unique. Maybe you want to sell it to someone else, maybe you want to transfer it to the sequel game that comes out. A lot of interesting things could be done. Vitalik has basically lived on planes and hotels, constantly on the move, working on tech, promoting his ideas. This might sound controversial, but Vitalik is the closest thing to Satoshi we have. A young man way ahead of his time. People listen when he speaks. A downside to that is if one day he chokes on a pretzel and dies, what would happen to Ethereum? I don't know, but it would probably be really bad. For a platform that is supposed to be decentralized, you can argue that nothing happens on ETH that Vitalik doesn't approve of. As with anything, there are pros and cons to centralizing power. Bitcoin's security is up here. But maybe in the real world, we can get away with security down here if it lets us do more things. It'll be interesting to see. Also, when you picture in your head, who is inventing the money of the future? I can't think of a better guy to follow. The Steve Jobs of crypto? No, probably not. But I'm guessing that anyone who has heard of Bitcoin has heard of Coinbase. Bryan Armstrong founded and runs Coinbase and is pretty active writing business articles. I've said this before, Coinbase is the closest thing we have to an iTunes for crypto, and we need that. Normal people don't care about tokenizing, scaling debates, and elliptic curve cryptography. Normal people want to buy crypto. They want Gmail to remember their password, Facebook to show them suggestions, and they want to spend their money easily. That is the Coinbase target audience. I'm not paid to say any of this, but for people in the US, I think setting up a Coinbase account is a great place to start. Brian has his detractors, spamming the network, neutrino privacy breaches, double charging customers. But in my opinion, these are growing pains of any company. Their customer service practically exploded during the last bull run, but no one was expecting the amount of users flooding into the space. Brian obviously has his own motivations for profit, control, and influence. So now that I think about it, Coinbase is kind of like Apple, or maybe Facebook. I have no inside knowledge of this, but in my opinion, Facebook is going to buy Coinbase. And when that happens, everything will change. It's going to be nuts.
ファンドズラー政府。ファンドズラー政府。ファンドズラー政府。
Last but not least, CZ. If you want one soundbite, CZ is doing what Bryan Armstrong is doing, but instead of doing it in the US, he's doing it for the world. CZ runs Binance, currently the world's largest crypto exchange. Binance experienced incredible growth the last 2 years, and they are throwing that weight around. All of the people working there got filthy rich, but they're not sitting at home in Canada playing games all day. A lot of organizations out there are working on education, charity, chain analysis, development, ICOs, research, but few have the ability to do it on the scale Binance can. They're doing unheard of projects, targeting places like Africa, hopefully delivering on cypherpunk promises to bank the unbanked and give more economic freedom. Another holy grail in crypto is an easy-to-use decentralized exchange. And if I had to pick, I'd say Binance is going to be the first. CZ has cited developing this big picture worldview from his early years. Born in China, moved to Canada, flipping burgers at McDonald's, got a computer science degree, moved to Japan, worked on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. There are a lot of stories of people like that, but it takes just a few minutes of listening to CZ talk to understand how humble, smart, and driven this guy is. It wasn't until the Forbes article that I thought, I am really rich. My lifestyle hasn't changed very much. I still live in the same type of apartment. I don't have anything luxurious. I don't have a watch. I don't have a car. I actually don't have a house. I rent. I feel that crypto will rise in value much more than if I buy a house, so I don't want to put my investments in a house. Making more money now will not make me happier. It will not do anything for me. It is just a number. I realize that as a human being, the thing that has meaning is to help other humans. What I can do is relatively meaningful, which is promoting the freedom of wealth. I believe that by promoting crypto, which is a freer asset, freer investment vehicle, we will help normal people achieve financial freedom much, much more easily. He deserves to be number one. And I think the secret he's identified is trust. The smart thing to do is to never trust anyone. It's a cutthroat world. Having credibility is rare. People trust that Binance is safe. They trust that CZ is honest in his intentions. So in a world of numbers, that is an amazing accomplishment. So there's the list. Obviously, there's more to each person listed than what I talked about. Hope you learned something. See links below for further reading. Thanks for watching.